And delighted to be joined right now by Alan Miller. He's co-founder of the Together Declaration. He's live in Westminster right now as the farmers are once again staging a tractor protest against inheritance tax changes. They started early this morning in North London, and they're making their way through the streets of London to Westminster, where they're going to be lobbying MPs at 1 o'clock today, where once again there's going to be a debate in Westminster Hall as a result of a petition on those inheritance tax changes that hit family farms so hard. Very good morning to you, Alan.
Good morning, Julia.
Thanks so much for joining us. Now, I tell you what, it's one of the things I love about the farmers is they ain't going away. And unlike a lot of these other feel-good protesters, now orange T-shirts and others, they're not put off by a little bit of cold and rain and bad weather, are they? Because they are hardier than that, and they are still turning out. Tell us just briefly, for people, again, who don't keep up with this, what the farmers are protesting about.
Yes, Julia. So basically, at the last budget, unexpectedly, because the government said before they got in that they would not impose any new taxes on farmers, that a new series of impositions on BPR and APR means that farmers now have to pay inheritance tax, which means that they were always paying taxes before. But now what it means is if you've got assets or buildings or tractors, very quickly you're past the threshold, and it means many will have to sell off their business because they won't be able to afford the inheritance tax. It's a question of our food security. It's a question of a continuity, a way of life. It's not just farmers though, Julia, because it is our farmers. It's also family businesses. And now they've said to veterans as well. And that's why Together is working with Farmers to Action, who's the largest growing farmers organisation, over 5,000 supporters already, growing daily, rapidly. Over 45 counties have been doing actions across the country and saying this is unacceptable, and uniting with businesses that we've seen speaking this morning at Mill Hill, at the biggest London working farm, where we've had all sorts of business speakers, veterans, Nigel Farage spoke, and even Derek Chisora, the champion boxer, was there from sport. We are now here at Whitehall, and as you say, there's going to be a parliamentary debate about this today. The public, we know, support the end of this. They're overwhelmingly against it. And we're saying now, make sure you tell your MP and your councillors, because it's May elections coming up.
And that's the key thing, isn't it? And the thing about the Together Declaration, you've taken up many causes over the last few years. So it's sort of lockdown, vaccine mandates and freedom of speech and women's rights and safety. It's all, there's a running theme through it, and that's about listen to the people. If we stand together, instead of little individual groups trying to sort of have their say, people stand together and say, no, you have to listen to us. We're the people, we know what we're talking about. Then MPs will start getting some decisions right. And it's a fantastic movement. I'm so impressed with what you do. But this is the thing, people forget it's about food security. If people say, well, I don't know anyone in farming, I live in a city, I don't know anything about this. More than half of the food that we eat in this country comes from British farms, and a lot of those farms are family-run farms. They've been in the family for years, and as we've learned, Jeremy Clarkson and others exposing just how hard that life is, and the margins they work under. That actually, when the government's like, oh, if you've got a farm worth, over $1 million, these are only rich people who pay this. They don't understand the land can be worth a lot of money, but you've got a huge amount of equipment, a huge amount of costs for doing the work. But actually, farmers, most of these farmers, they're not rich. They're just doing a job that, on paper they look rich, but the only way they could pay this tax is to sell off the farm.
That's absolutely right, Julia. 0.5% return of investment on farms. Other businesses just would not do it. They do it because there's a sense of duty, responsibility. They love it. If you speak to farmers, they'll tell you, we love doing it.
It's in the blood, It's
in the blood, it's heritage, it's our way of life, it's our culture. And the British public love that about farmers. And even as, I'm a city dweller, and often people think, well, does it just come off the shelves? We don't know how it gets there. But there's a sense that this is part of our way of life. And Julia, we can't just have solar farms. We can't just have BlackRock buying everything up. We've seen with our energy, if we have to bring it from abroad, the volatility of the world markets, and what then starts happening. And frankly, the standards in Britain are much higher. So the type of food that we're getting, and we know in America, the Make America Healthy Again, much of that is about food. And most importantly, it's not democratic to say you're not going to do something, then come in, a bit like with the pensioners, and impose it on us. And we've had enough of these technocrats. That's why we're saying everyone stand together. Make sure you tell your MP, and be united on this.
Absolutely. Well, we say there's going to be a lot of tractors in Whitehall. Very hard for the MPs to ignore. But again, if people don't speak out, then they get ignored. So good luck with that, Alan. Really appreciate that. Alan Miller, the co-founder of Together Declaration. Sam Armstrong, you work with a lot of MPs, with a lot of Tory MPs. Do you think they are paying attention, listening? We've had Nigel Farage is on this march. We've had Kemi Badenoch has joined them outside in protests outside Parliament as well and met with them. Do you think Labour gets it, or is their view, these people don't vote for us anyway, we don't care?
Yeah, actually, I think the Labour Party is quite intelligent in some ways. It has a very clear sense of who its people are, but it also has a very clear sense of who its people are not.
Yeah.
And it has decided that rural people, the people involved in the farming system, and it goes beyond farmers, right? It's the delivery drivers that pick up things from farms and take them there. It's a whole ecosystem, a whole little local economy. It's just decided that those aren't its people. Yeah. It's decided broadly that pensioners aren't its people. It's decided that people who care about migration aren't its people. Yeah. And it's decided
you're a train driver, you're a teacher, nurse. I mean, who else have they got?
But, well, they had 34% of people at the last election. The Green Party had another 6%. There's 12.5% in the Lib Dems. That is the Labour overall coalition. It, frankly, has made a very clear decision. It doesn't care about 55% of the population, the majority of people in this country, working people that pay for everything, that keep everything going.
Sector,
It doesn't care, because it has found its group and it is just going to appeal to them until it stops. And for now, it looks like, people are going to get bored to the back teeth of me saying this, it is working. The Labour Party's plan is working. I mean, the working people of this country are getting done over and over and over